Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's another pirate day, kind of day of the Pirate Broadcast.
Yeah.
And, the whole point is that we have these interesting people doing interesting things. And I thought it would be really fun. A good friend of mine and somebody that I've been hanging out with the last couple of years is doing some interesting things. And I wanted to highlight what he's doing because there's a lot of opportunity out there that people don't even recognize that exists.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you create things, you have to actually see it to really understand it. So I have Randy. Randy is here with us today, and we're going to be talking about some industries that you may not even know exist. So, Randy, thanks for being here, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, Russ. Looking forward to it. Been following you, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always great to be hanging out with you. And also, I want people to know that Randy's from up north. He's north of where I am, north of Arizona. So you're actually in the...
I'm north of Toronto.
North of Toronto, okay.
Yeah, we're in what we call Lake Country, or we call God's Country. It's beautiful up here.
It is a beautiful area, and I love Toronto. Toronto's an amazing place to visit, and been there a few times. So
cool. Yeah.
So now, one of the things that I think is really important for people to understand and appreciate. I mean, you've been in the oil industry, and you've been out on the rigs, and you've been all over the world and doing amazing things, and telling stories and things are something we could probably do all day long.
All day.
However, and I know that I don't want to get too far down the path of where the industry is right now, because it's going through some changes.
Yeah.
However, I think what's really important is what you've done on the side of the oil industry and how you evolved in it. I want to kind of go back to how you got into the industry that you're focusing on now, and for those that and then share what that industry is, because it's an industry that not a lot of people understand even exists, and I think it's important for us to kind of do the backstory on that. So, and I know you're a pro at telling this story, and I'd love to have an opportunity to have you share with us, Randy.
Well, no good stories start with, I was eating a salad. So sometimes these are a little difficult in these times.
Well, they're sitting eating a salad.
Yeah. Well, sometimes those good ideas don't come out. There's other ways. There's other ways to get there.
So how far back does this story go?
Really? Yeah. Well, I was working in the oil field, and my dad started to get a little sick so around 1992, I came home, and because we do live in Lake Country and we're only an hour and a half from Toronto, people have cottages. There's thousands of lakes up here and cottages, and people come up here for the weekend, spend the weekend at the cottage. They go home for the, back to work. And then, after that, the winter time gets pretty slow. Pretty well, everybody that's of a certain age heads down south for the winter. So these cottages sit empty a lot in the winter. So back in those days, there'd been a lot of break-ins and damages from tree and weather and rodents. So people found out that I was home, and we knew a lot of people at the lake that was near us. And they said, "Hey, would you mind checking in on our cottage?" And so we started a cottage watch business, and just out of the blue, and all of a sudden it took off. And so in the winter times, I just drive around on my snowmobile and check cottages, and I got paid to ride my snowmobile around. But the interesting thing was, people always ask me, how do I know you've been there? And, at first, we'd put a tag on the door and punch it with a hole punch, but really that meant nothing. So what I used to do is I go and check their place. Then I would go in and pick up their phone, call a long distance number where a fax machine would answer. I would hang up, and that would show up on their phone bill as proof that I'd been there. So it worked out really well. It was like wow, people were, and so word got out, and it just kind of took off. Well, then I went back to the oil field, but I work on a rotation. I was working out of the country, a month away, a month home. So I kept it going, and I had some friends that would help, in between. And it was a little extra money. It wasn't big money, but it was enough to buy a snowmobile and pay for all the gas. So, I got to ride my snowmobile for free.
Yeah.
Right. So then, as the years passed and my career was going, I decided that it was time to maybe leave. And my wife and I we decided to start this family business, doing kind of looking after cottages and doing cleaning and, odd jobs. And then, I was still working. So here's my wife at home doing this. And slowly we're trying to make my exit strategy.
Yeah.
And it took off all of a sudden, and in a community like this, and some people can relate to this, everybody and their dog,
Yeah.
So word got out.
Especially their dog.
Especially the dog. Yeah, especially the dog. Yeah. Sometimes you're better friends with the dog than the friends. So we started doing Home Watch again. And again, we realized that people had gotten rid of their landlines and everybody had cell phones now.
So calling the fax is not necessarily the first opportunity.
Yeah, you can do it from your cell phone, but it's not really going to work. So,
yeah.
So we got back into it again, and we'd always kept clients over the years. And so we decided that we needed some way to prove we were at that client's property. And we looked at, my son and I, we looked at like 10 or 11 different softwares, and we had this login for this one, and it wasn't really saving us time.
Yeah.
So being the kind of person that I am, I was like, well, why don't we just make a software? It can't be that hard.
Yeah. It can't be that hard.
Yeah. Well, so I always tell my wife, we should have just took that money and went to the casino and had some fun, because it just went, man. But it was really cool, because I can drill you an oil well in your backyard tomorrow, hands down. But the software, I had no idea. And boy, did I jump in with both feet, and boy, did my eyes get open. And then I have utmost respect for those guys that are coders.
Yeah.
What they do is up here, and the thinking and the planning and everything. What if you do this and that? So we actually built a prototype using a software called Drupal. It's like WordPress.
Uh-huh.
And it was a guy that helped us with our website for the family business, and he suggested we use QR codes.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to be able to prove to people we were there, do a report with comments and photos, and then communicate with them.
Yeah.
So we built this prototype, and over about a year and a half, our clients were like, wow, this is really cool. Where'd you get this? And we said, well, we made it. And so one of our clients had a place up here on the lake. They have a house in Toronto, and they have a place in Arizona, not far from you. And they said, well, we have a Home Watch guy. And I was like, what do you mean you have a Home Watch guy? And they go, well, we have a guy that looks after our place when we're not in Arizona. And I kind of scratched my head and went, Home Watch. We called it Cottage Watch up here.
Yeah.
So I started researching, and I was like, holy cow, look at all these Home Watch companies in Florida, Arizona. I mean, Florida's a mecca for Home Watch.
Oh yeah.
And
seasonal, the snowbirds come down, and they migrate back to the cooler weather when it gets to be about 105 here.
So I sat down with my wife and I said, maybe somebody else could use this. So long story short, I started doing a market study, and I called up like 75 different companies. Uh-huh. And I would say 25 to 30% of them just hung up because they thought I was, trying to see, as their competition. I'm like, no, I'm up in Canada. I'm not going to compete with you down there. I'm not going
to bang on anybody's door.
Yeah. So we decided in 2013 to take the prototype and actually make a software. And that's when it got difficult. That's when we realized, oh boy, we have no idea what we're doing, but we found some incredible people, which some of them are still with me today. So it's been a really cool journey. They've educated me, mentored me. You know, I sit in on calls sometimes and I listen to them and I'm like, oh, I'm lost, you know, but having those people supporting you and being there all the way through the journey has been incredible. I can't thank them enough for helping us. And we've built a really cool product. And,
Yeah.
and so in a nutshell, what we do is we put a geofence, and a lot of people don't understand what geofences are. And it's just imaginary line on a map. And basically, we put a QR code at the property. And what QR codes were made by Denso Wave in Japan for, a lot of people don't know this, but for their just-in-time inventory.
Mhm.
They'd be on, because they don't stock parts anymore. They arrive the day that they put them on the vehicle. So they were having trouble, you know, where is it? Where is that? So they scan the QR code in the factory and it takes them to the URL, to the website, and then it shows them where their inventory is. So it was a really quick method. And
Yeah.
Denso went, well, we'll just share this with the world. It's free to use. So we took that QR code, put it there, and then when you arrive at the property and you scan that with your QR code, if you're not inside that geofence, you're done. It won't let you in.
Yeah.
And not just anybody can scan it. You have to be approved through the system.
Mhm.
And then once you prove you're there, then a checklist pops up and says, okay, roof okay, windows okay, and we customize the checklist for conditional questions. In other
Yeah,
words,
depending on the client or the property or whatever it happen to be, whether they have a pool or not, no pool,
yeah.
garage, whatever it happens to be, huh?
So the reason why we did that is insurance companies are getting tighter and tighter on claims. You know, Hurricane Irma was
Mm.
there right now with Hurricane Irma. I can't give you the statistics, but there's millions and millions of dollars of claims that haven't been paid. And
Mhm.
part of that reason is when Hurricane Irma hit, people didn't get down there, say, for a month to go down and check on their place. They didn't have a home watch person.
Yeah.
And so what happens is down there, mold grows within 72 hours, right?
Yeah.
So they had a leak in the roof or they had damages, and the insurance company would say, well, did you have somebody checking on your place? No. You know, no, I didn't. Or yes, I did. Well, can you prove that?
Yeah.
Well, for the ones that don't use any type of software, it doesn't have to be Qridit. It has to be anything
Some
that
validation that somebody was inspecting it and it was a reliable resource that was there in place.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so if you couldn't prove to the insurance companies that you had somebody checking on your place, a lot of those claims were denied. So you got people paying out thousands of dollars. And so you look at the people that are doing home watch, they're
Mm.
not doing their clients any justice by not having a way to prove they were there, because
Right.
they just did a disservice to their clients because they can't prove that they were there. And there's been lawsuits over this, that
Yeah.
people can't prove they're there. So you know, it's changed. Hurricane Irma, as bad as it was for people, it's actually changed our industry. Was technically we're not really an industry, but we're growing it into an industry.
Yeah.
And people are now aware, geez, you know, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen if you leave your place empty. And a lot of people have that fallacy that, you know, wow, it's never happened to me, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
I've
never
been
happened
down
to
to
me.
Florida for 20 years, but and then all of a sudden this
Well,
disaster.
that's the whole point of insurance, and insurance companies are looking out for their interest as well. It's like you could bust your own pipe and let it run for 3 weeks, and it's like there's all kinds of things that you know it's crazy. However, the other side though, I think it's important for us to mention is the fact that even if you have your neighbor and they're reliable and they come over here all the time and they check on your house, and my dad, he lives in the retirement community. He used to take care of lots of homes and make sure the yard is okay, and
Yeah.
making sure that their bushes are trimmed, or you know any trash that blows by or anything like that is picked up, and they check on the doors and everything, make sure it's okay. However, there was no proof or evidence that he was ever there. So if the insurance company said, "Hey, yeah, I have Dale taking care of it," it's like, well, how do we know he was there? It's like,
Yeah, and you know, we have a mutual friend. I don't know if we should, you know,
yeah,
Diane is the queen of home watch and
uh-huh,
one of the most respected in the industry. And, she's, just because you own a home doesn't mean you can be a home watch person.
Right. Right.
And so, you do get the neighbors doing a favor, and that's awesome. I mean,
I'm not
it's
going to
great to
diminish the
do that.
fact that people can help each other
But,
out.
one of the neighbors of our clients up here, I've been out of the business. My wife runs the whole thing, and because of the software took off, it's incredible. It's something that I never would have dreamt of. But we had a neighbor of one of our clients, and they said, they asked us, how much is it? And they kind of go, wow, that's a lot of money, just because, for you to come by and check our place. And, well, what's the value if you have to fly back from wherever you are to take care of a problem?
Yeah.
But anyway, they had another neighbor. I forget the guy's name, but he's going to check on the place. Well, he went away for the winter. He decided to go to Florida for 2 months, and they had damage in their place, and they come home and, well, where were you?
I was in Florida.
Was in Florida. So yeah, so it's an industry that's growing. It's growing fast. I mean, Florida, I always relate to Florida because I have a lot of statistics for there, but in 2014, there was 157,000 homeowners associations registered in the United States. 53,000 of those are in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So, if you think of these gated communities down there, if you've ever been to Florida, and same in Arizona, they're everywhere.
They're all over.
And so, the average of about 500 homes per HOA, and if you divide that by 2, say for seasonal residents, just as rough numbers, you're talking millions, 11, 12 million potential clients down there. So Home Watch hasn't even touched into the tip of the iceberg yet.
Well, and I think it's also important, Randy, to mention that north, where you are, is the opposite end of the equation. It's like you don't have a lot of frozen pipes in Florida. You get the mold. However, there's still the challenge of somebody coming home and having the water running, for how long.
Well,
and it's really a challenge. And I think the bigger story that I want to tell here, though, is to get people to imagine that, right now in this challenging time we're going through, is that there are industries that are here that, just like yourself, you earn a little cash so you can pay for your snowmobile fuel, pay for a snowmobile. Yeah. And it's that side hustle that actually grows into an industry. And that's essentially what we're doing. I've done a lot of, watching your dogs or house sitting, making sure your plants don't die while you're gone, things like that.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it as an industry until it, starts evolving and collecting. However, there's a lot of people that would love the opportunity to do a small business like this. And I think one of the projects that we've been working on is expanding that out so we can actually share that with people. And so if you want to get connected and you're looking for something, we're going to be sharing some things. I'll be sharing it in the chat and in the windows, and reach out to Randy and connect with him on LinkedIn. And so we can actually stay connected and continue this conversation, because it's so important for people to understand that just get started, start something simple and be like Randy, allow it to grow.
But don't be like Randy. Because we made a lot of huge marketing mistakes, and thank goodness, our paths have crossed, and other people that have mentored me. And I wanted to mention this because, I did have a long career in the oil field, and I got to a place where I was a senior guy, and and I look back at that and I went, geez, I didn't know everything. So I had the world's best mentors to guide me. And at a very young age, I got a senior position at a young age, and these guys saw something in me and just gave me an opportunity that changed my whole life. And I, like you say, I got to see the world for free and been to some interesting places. But when I started my business, I missed the it's easy to run a business, I'll just get a name and a website out there and yeehaw, let's go. And And that's where that come up with my wife. Said we did all these marketing things and spent money foolishly without educating ourselves. And then all of a sudden the brakes went on when you realize, geez, we should have went to the casino.
Yeah.
We just blew all that money out the window, And so if I had to get a message to anybody that is going to enter in something like this or anything, that continued education and getting mentors and talking to people like you and Diane and other people like Carl, who's been instrumental in my life for helping me with business and stuff, is wow. Don't forget that. And YouTube is full of educational stuff. So those were the mistakes I made. So don't be like Randy, right? Sort of, but yeah. So
take parts of your story and add it to your equation, right?
Yeah. The successful part.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've probably started more startups than most people even think about, and it's that process of testing and evaluating and failing and understanding. Okay, well, that's not exactly what I imagined it was going to turn out to be, and it's an accumulation of experience that allows us to get wisdom, and sometimes it's bad decisions that add to that experience, right?
Well, I always remember the movie Outlaw Josie Wales, and Chief Dan George was in there, and the one saying he said is always stuck with me: endeavor to persevere.
Endeavor to persevere.
It's always stuck with me. I never knew what it meant when I was younger, but now I get older, it's like, okay, we failed there. Oh my God. When I listen to guys and people, not guys, but people on your show, and you talk to people about, in business and entrepreneurs especially, and they startups and stuff, and one morning you wake up and it's like the weather in Canada, it changes every 30 minutes, but oh my God, we're broke. Oh, look, we just got a check. Oh my God, we're broke again. And why are we doing this? And why are we continuing with this? But I have to share a story, and we got to that point, and we had a lady that had started. She was in her 60s, beautiful lady, called me up, love this software, this is awesome, and it's saving us. And they were able to grow their business by over 40% within 1 year because they couldn't take on any more clients. But because of the way they were doing their paperwork and documenting that they were there. And so it was just her and her husband, and it was kind of an exit business. They were going to build it up and sell it, and they did sell it, which was awesome. And they're retired now, and I hope Diane hears this and sees this one day.
Yeah.
Because she changed we were ready to stop. We were like, man, we've plugged so much money into this. Man, what are we doing? And she called me up one day and said, and I have a video on my website, I will leave it on there forever. And she was in tears, and she said, if it wasn't for your software, I would have had to close my business. No, I was like, what? She said, yeah, my husband got really sick, ended up in the hospital. So I had to do all these home watches by myself. And she said, if it wasn't for the software and being able to report and do that, so I could get in fast, get out, do the report. And she says, I would have had to close my business. And that was it. I almost, the old tears are rolling up. And I sat down with Sandy and said, we just help somebody.
Yeah.
And if we can do that to everybody, then we'll keep plugging money into it, and we'll keep going. And that's what we did. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a life lesson too. And it's like, we can't help everyone, but we can help someone. And that someone is going to make a difference, and that's really what it's about.
But it comes back.
It does come back.
You and I know that. I've listened to all the people on your shows. We all say the same thing. Yeah. Give, it'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just to kind of switch here, to mention about, Home Watch is growing, and, there's a lot of people that retire. They've had a good career. They're young, they've done their 30 years, 35 years, but what am I going to do? What business is out there? This is a cool opportunity. Home Watch is a business that, especially if you're retired and in a community, you've got a marketing right there. They're all your neighbors, but then there's also businesses that we're talking seasonal residents, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, people have a business and they lose a portion of their revenue. excuse me, and when the seasonal residents exit,
Yeah.
all the only clients they have basically are their clients that are still there. So all of a sudden these houses are empty. Hey, and if you've already got them, this is a great opportunity to add some extra revenue to your business.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's I think it's going to change here in the next little while, as you and I both know, for the industry.
Yeah.
It's going.
And I think more now than any other time is an opportunity that people can think about how they want to live in these kinds of times, right? It's like, if not everybody wants to go to the office and work in that environment, and the flexibility and the freedom to be able to help other people out and make sure that their property is safe, and make sure. And it's not just homes that need attention. There's vacant property, there's all kinds of things that it's left up to the imagination about what you could actually do. And then also, like you were talking about, the companies that are here locally supporting other people, cleaning companies, landscaping companies, handyman. Those are people that could add products and services to their inventory of offerings and assist some of these people that are leaving town. Because, like in my community here, you go drive up and down the roads, and in the summertime, half these homes are empty. They're sitting empty, and
Well, a lot of these people that you just mentioned, businesses,
Mhm.
they're actually doing home watch. They don't even realize they're doing it. They
Right.
have access to the property. If they see something while they're there,
Yeah.
they mention it to the homeowner. They're already doing it. It's just a matter of getting some training. And but we got to go back to the mentoring and the training.
Gary says, see the need and pivot.
Awesome.
Wendy is saying, cool concept. Love it. Gabriel.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So and here's hi, Russ and Randy, all the pirates in the world. Are. So, I mean, realistically, Randy, like you said, everybody that's a homeowner may not necessarily be a good home watch person. However, through these processes that you've developed over years of experience and things like that, you're kind of a guide and a Sherpa to a lot of people that have wanted to start this process. You have the software, you have a business, you have the ability and the opportunity to help a lot of people with this that are thinking about, okay, what could I do to keep myself busy and create a little extra income, or even a very good income. And how does that process work? I mean, they get a hold of you, they go through the process, and then they can actually get moving in their own neighborhoods. So
yeah. Well, and I've sadly I've seen many companies start and then drop. And the biggest thing, if I could give advice, don't worry about spending a little money to get some training.
Mhm.
Don't worry about spending money on a little bit of software. It's a return on investment.
Yeah.
And it'll pay for itself, because the ones that didn't do that and the ones that tried to wing it, we got lucky. We winged it and got lucky.
Yeah.
But there's, get the training, get the understanding, do your clients a justice by understanding what you're doing. Don't just walk into somebody's home and wing it for a while, because you might cause them some problems. So that's about my only advice. Get the mentoring, get the training, spend the money, do it properly, go with the Cadillac, not the VW.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start out right. Because I have, Russ, and it's sad because I talk to these people. I'm talking to 4 to 5 new companies every week. So I try to give them that advice, without, so yeah.
Well, hey, I really appreciate it, Randy, and I know that we're on our own adventure and we got things going on, and I just really appreciate the fact that you were willing to share this with us, because I know there's so many people out there that are right now looking and reflecting on what they're going to do next, and I think this this is one idea that I thought, because you and I are kind of similar in the fact that we see opportunities. We don't see challenges. We see opportunities because we're not afraid to roll up our sleeves and get things done. So,
yeah. Well, and thank you, Russ, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And you're doing an awesome thing here by sharing all these people's stories and stuff. I look forward to it. I look forward to it every day.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Randy. And for anyone watching, anyone that is interested in the Pirate broadcast, you know that there's always going to be an opportunity to share some interesting people doing interesting things, because we're here every Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Arizona time. Yeah. And in fact, the entire month of May is completely booked. So I'm starting to book June dates. So wow, I got a list of fascinating individuals to have a conversation with, just like Randy. So thank you, Randy. It's a pleasure always. And I appreciate you and what you're doing. So let's continue the good fight. All right.
All right, man. Thanks.
Take care. Kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day. Thank you for joining the Pirate broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.